Good evening and welcome. This is a public hearing of the Zoning Board of Appeals of the City of Evanston. The zoning ordinance directs this body to hear applications for major variations, special uses, and appeals from decisions of the zoning administrator. Depending on the type of matter, this board will either make a final determination or send its recommendation to City Council. Please call the roll.
Lisa Deacon.
Here.
Scott Gingold.
Here.
Mary Beth Burns.
Here.
Mary McCauley. Violetta Cullen.
Present.
Mirna Aravallo.
Here.
And with 5 members present, we do have a quorum tonight. Also present tonight are zoning planner Melissa Klotz, is zoning planner Melissa Klotz. This is a formal meeting and there are rules that govern our proceedings. Most importantly, only one person speaks at a time, so all testimony may be accurately recorded. Anyone who wishes to address the board regarding any matter on the agenda will have the opportunity to do so at the appropriate time. Our procedure is to hear from staff on the documents on file and then receive testimony and other evidence from the applicant or appellant. Next, persons who wish to make a statement regarding this matter may do so at that time. Any person with a legal interest in property located within 500 feet of the subject property may present evidence, reasonably question witnesses, or seek a continuance of the hearing. When all supporting and opposing testimony and statements have been heard, the applicant or appellant will be given the opportunity for rebuttal or a closing statement. Then, the board will close the record and begin deliberations. All testimony will be under oath. Although we do not apply the strict rules of evidence, please limit your testimony or statement to your personal knowledge. When you address the board, please state your name and address and sign in on the provided sheet. Our meetings are audio and video recorded. Please make sure that you are at a microphone when asking questions or making statements so that you can be properly recorded. All proceedings are subject to broadcast at a later date. Any matter not concluded at tonight's hearing will be continued to our next regularly scheduled meeting. There is one item on the agenda tonight, and it appears as though they're here. I will have... No, sorry. So let's start with the meeting minutes. And did everyone who was at the previous meeting get a chance to read the meeting minutes? Anybody have any comments? No. Can I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of August 2nd, 2016.
Second.
It was moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I will note that those not voting were not here at that meeting. So we will move on to new business, which is 1021 Dewey Avenue. And Melissa, will you read that into the record, please?
Camille Drezick, contract purchaser, applies for major zoning relief to construct a new single-family residence and 2-car detached garage in the R3 two-family residential district. The applicant requests a 3-foot north and south interior side yard setback where 5 feet is required for the principal structure, zoning code section 68478A3, and a 2-foot rear yard, north interior side yard setback where 3 feet is required for the accessory structure, zoning code section 6847C4. The Zoning Board of Appeals is the determining body for this case. Documents included as part of the record include variation application submitted July 20th, 2016, standards form, zoning analysis, plat of survey, site plans, elevations, letters of support, image of property, aerial view of property, zoning map of property, and DAPR meeting minutes of August 3rd, 2016.
Can you come up and go ahead and present your case? If you wouldn't mind, I'm going to swear you in first. So anybody who is interested in speaking to this project, please swear. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth throughout the course of these proceedings?
I do.
Fantastic. Can you give us your name and business address, please?
My name is Camille Drezick. My business address is 9950 Lawrence Avenue in Schiller Park, Illinois 60176.
Okay. In just a minute, I forgot to say something. So I just need to clarify that one of the owners of the property is a general contractor who is doing work adjacent to a personal property that I own. So we've had some interactions via email, but I just want to let you know that that should not impact my ability to render a fair decision.
So you mean Marcin?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Excellent.
So go ahead and tell us about your project.
Okay, excellent. So currently the house that's in that location is a 2-flat. It's built on slab, and the way it was built towards one side of the property. So that is, it's less than 1 foot away from one side, and then somebody put some kind of roof over concrete, so it's pretty much less than 1 foot from the other side at this state right now as well. It's about 20 feet wide, just over 20 feet wide. So what we're looking to do is build a new house, 19 feet wide, center it on the lot, giving it 3 feet from each side, and then also build a new garage in the back, making it 20 feet wide, which is a standard two-car garage, which then puts it 2 feet away from the property line. That's why I'm submitting for the variance. And the house is going to be a single-family house, 2-story with a full basement.
Did you look at other options?
As far as making it
Right, things that were
comply.
compliant with the zoning ordinance, right?
So as far as the house, making a 15 feet wide house would make the house functionally not, I don't know how to say it, it wouldn't be functional as a house. 15 feet is very narrow when it comes to houses. And then also it wouldn't be as appealing as far as like the neighborhood. I haven't seen any houses that are 15 feet wide. Then also it would, I don't think we would be able to find a new owner for the house, simply because of the width of the house.
Are you the current owner?
We have a contract to purchase the house, and we're closing on it this Friday. And our plan is to build a new house and sell it to a new owner.
Are you the buyer in the transaction closing this Friday, or is it a company that you're a part
It's
of?
the company, correct.
And
I'm
you-
part of the company.
You own the company?
Me along with 2 other owners.
Can you talk about the plan and its consistency with the character of the neighborhood?
Yes. So in the neighborhood, I noticed that most of the houses are 2-story, and the ones that are single family are about 20 feet wide, and especially the ones next to it are pretty much the same as the current house. And so they're also 2-story. So the house that we're building is going to be 2-story. It's going to be centered in the yard. So I think that's gonna stay with the character of the neighborhood. So the house is the design of it is also traditional. I provided a picture with it, so everything is congruent with the neighborhood.
Is there any public benefit to the project?
I believe there is. First, one of the neighbors, because of the house is going to be centered, one of the neighbors is going to get a little bit more space from the house, because right now, as I said, it's less than 1 foot. So that's one benefit. On the other side, the addition that somebody put on, we're also going to take down, so then it's going to be also consistent 3 feet throughout. Another thing is this house has been vacant, I believe, for a while. So now that we're going to fix it up, there's going to be a new owner in there after we finish with it. Also, aesthetically, it will be a nicer property because the current one is in significant disrepair.
Is this lot extra narrow?
It's a 25 feet wide lot. So when I believe originally somebody was subdividing the neighborhood, those setbacks weren't in place, so they built the house, and now we got the lot, and we have to do something with it.
Can you talk a little bit about the garage? We have a lot of substandard lots here in Evanston, as well as some tight situations. And so although a 20-foot garage is delightful to have, a 20-foot garage is by no means the minimum necessary, right? We've had garages that are out to out as small as 19 feet. So you can technically make your garage compliant. Can you talk to me, can you tell us about that?
Sure. As you mentioned, it would be nice to have a 20-foot wide garage. It is a comfortable then for two cars to park in there. The current garage is, I believe it's 19 and a half feet, almost 19 and a half feet. So the benefit for us is obviously the convenience of having a 20-foot wide garage. If necessary, I believe we can build a 19 feet wide garage, and I think it would fit the two cars. I don't know if there's, as far as a benefit for the neighboring properties, if there's any benefit for us going a foot narrower or not.
There's always a benefit. There's always a benefit to being a little bit smaller.
Okay.
So to clarify, if you did do a 19-foot garage, you're still able to park two cars in there?
I'm not sure about that. I would have to check with the builder if that's
So the
case.
question would be, if they do a 19-foot garage, then if you had two-car family, if then you would end up having more parking on the street versus being able to park both cars in the garage.
Okay.
So a standard garage door is 16 feet. So you can technically get the two cars in there. It's just not it's not super comfortable, and it's not, gracious. You can get it done. So it's completely possible.
Okay.
Is there parking on one or both sides of that street?
On both sides. I don't know if it's a one-way or not, but it's on both
I
sides.
think it is one way. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, one-way.
Have you discussed this design with the neighbors?
Yes, they gave us letters of support.
Okay.
They're happy.
I noticed that there's some discussion in some of our comments about the eaves only being 6 feet, and in the elevations they're currently
6
drawn.
inches?
Sorry, yep, thank you. This isn't a prairie style house.
Some big eaves.
That is a big eave. That's a long cantilever. Your elevations show it more like a foot. Your plan is to switch it to be 6 inches as an
Correct.
overhang. And then, just so that I understand completely, although the building sets back in the front, the roof doesn't jog with it. Is that correct? There's like that 6-inch, 5 or 6 inch offset
Correct. Yes.
at the porch.
So there is a porch, and then
Yeah.
I believe the roof will extend out to the front a little bit.
Right, but so if you're looking at your north elevation, the roof line technically should jog there. Is the roof going to be in a single plane, or is it going to step back? Can you flip?
Okay. So on the on the north elevation, let's.
Yeah, A201. Yeah, so on the north elevation, right at the,
So you mean
This
the
is a
porch, the
pointer?
porch itself?
there we go. Nope, right here, right here. This wall here is about 8 inches behind this wall.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got the roof in the same plane. So this eave is 6 inches plus 8 inches, given the way you've drawn it. Is that correct?
I don't know if I understand it fully.
Okay.
So from this, are we talking about the front setback or side setback?
Just in looking at the drawing of the north elevation, that's all I'm talking about.
Okay.
Because there's a change in plane of the wall, technically there should be a change in plane of the roof.
It looks like, from what I see, the roof is the same. Looking at the top left, that it pretty much is the same.
Okay,
what it
so
looks
the
like.
plan is for that small 9 feet projection, or sorry, 3-foot projection, the eaves will be 14 inches. Because the roof is, no, that's okay, never mind. We can move on. We can move on. Yep. Does anybody else have any other questions?
Is the plan for the garage to also be centered on the property?
So from one side, we want to leave 3 feet to have a walkway, and then the other side 2 feet.
Have you taken any measurements of the width of the neighboring garages on either side?
We have the survey which has those measurements. So I can pull it up.
It doesn't have the overall width on the Plata survey.
Oh, the overall width of neighboring houses.
That's what you were asking, right? The overall width?
Of the two neighboring
The two
properties, yeah.
garages? Yeah. So the overall width of the 2 adjacent properties is 25 feet, so their garage is going to be a substandard garage.
Unless it's non-conforming and 20 feet.
Well, you can see that on the property to the, I can't tell which way is north. North is up.
To the
So the
south.
property to the south, right? The one setback is 3.12, and it's all cocked on the site plan. So the one end of the garage is 3.12 feet off the lot line, and then the other end is 2.81. So it's half conforming, half not conforming, at least on that side. And then there's nothing on the north side.
It looks like the garage next door, though, does go all the way to, looks like almost the property line.
You mean by looking at Google Maps or something
Yeah.
like that? Okay.
Yeah.
There's an overhead image in the packet.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody? Would you like to make any final closing
Closing
comments?
statement?
Yeah.
Yes. This house overall will improve the neighborhood. Also will, because it's going to be centered on the lot, it will provide aesthetically, functionally benefits to the neighbors and the neighborhood.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. We will now close the record and comments.
I guess I'll start. I think it's a good project, especially hearing, I saw the property that, the structure that's to come down, and understanding that that's been vacant for some time. I think that this is a good project in keeping with the character of the neighborhood.
I'd also just comment, I think the project, considering the lot, the uniqueness of the lot in its narrowness, is a modest project. It's not, they're underneath on lot coverage, they're underneath on a lot of other things, so the variations being sought, while they are multiple and therefore classify as major variations, they still are, it's not like they're building out to the end of the property line. I think that the request is fairly modest.
Anybody else? So my comments then are the existing combined side yard setbacks are 4.89 feet. And so by changing the overall combined setbacks to 6 feet, this is a lessening of the degree of nonconformity, which I think is always a good thing. So from that perspective, I think that the house is a good project. It's really the garage that concerns me, and part of it is that I like the idea of keeping the garage the distance it is off the property line and not making that a worse condition for the adjacent neighbor or something like that. So from my perspective, when you're changing it from 2.6 feet to 2 feet, although it seems minor, neighbors, that can be enough to set somebody off. And so that is increasing the degree of nonconformity, and I'm not sure that's worth it for the trade-off of making a garage that's perfectly acceptable. Specifically in Evanston, that would seem like a fantastic garage in Evanston. So that's my perspective on things.
I don't disagree at all with anything you said in a vacuum, but as the owner of a garage that's too tight for even one car, it's not really great having a non-functional or difficultly functional garage. And cars are wider and getting wider than they used to be. And given the overhead photograph, while we don't have measurements, given the fact that the garages on both sides of the property seem to extend fairly close to the property lines, it's not like 6 inches each way actually is a major encroachment. So I'd be in favor of granting the variance requested for the 20-foot garage because I think it's more functional and practical.
I agree.
I agree with that, and I think the fact that the neighboring property owners have signed off and are in support of this, those properties that would be most impacted, I think that carries some weight here.
I agree.
Alrighty then. So given that, we're going to move on to standards for variations. And there are 7 standards for variations that we're going to go through. Does anybody else want to run through them? Anybody? All right, fantastic. So number 1, the requested variation will not have a substantial adverse impact on the use, enjoyment, or property values of adjoining properties. So the proposed project will actually increase the distance between the house and the adjacent lot lines, and therefore increase the distance to the adjacent houses, which will help everybody from a light and air perspective. Also, by upgrading the house and bringing it into the 21st century, there will be a property value increase that goes to those neighbors. So I believe that this standard has been met. Number 2, the requested variation is in keeping with the intent of the zoning ordinance, which is to allow for redevelopment of property and to bring things up to compliance with today's code. So I believe that that standard has been met. Number 3, the alleged hardship or practical difficulty is peculiar to the property. This is a 25-foot lot, which is substandard, and although it's not specifically unique in Evanston, they are rare. And when it's already been improved, it becomes difficult to improve it in any other manner. So I do believe that that standard has been met. Number 4, the property owner would suffer a particular hardship or practical difficulty as distinguished from a mere inconvenience if the strict letter of the regulations were to be carried out. In this case, for a 25-foot lot with the 5-foot side yard setbacks, the buildable area would be only 15 feet, which is a major difference from what is currently there now. So it's already improved with a 20-foot wide house, and so taking that down to a 15-foot wide house is not a reasonable situation. So that, for me, means the standard has been met. Number 5, the purpose of the variation is not based exclusively upon a desire to extract additional income from the property, or there is some, and I will summarize here, some public benefit. The owners of the house are a development team, and their sole goal is to make money on it. So we have to look at the standard for a public benefit. And again, by taking on a project which is overwhelming and for most homeowners and far outside of their grasps, they are taking on a property, the development of a property which would be difficult for most, and improving the neighborhood at that time. So I believe that there is a public benefit, and I believe that standard has been met.
I would just add, with respect to this standard, I don't believe that the variation is based exclusively on a desire to extract additional income.
Okay. Number 6, the alleged difficulty or hardship has not been created by any person having an interest in the property. The house is the old Luxembourg house style in Evanston, and that predates certainly when the owners purchased the property. So I believe that this standard has been met. Now, number 7, we're going to have some disagreement, so feel free to jump in and say your disagreement. Number 7, the requested variation requires the least deviation from the applicable regulation among the feasible options identified before the Zoning Board of Appeals. So with regards to the house, I do believe that that is the least deviation necessary. They've got the minimum 3-foot side yard setbacks, and in order to get a functioning house that's a reasonable width, and it decreases the degree of nonconformity of the existing structure. However, with respect to the garage, I don't believe that that is the minimum change necessary, and I strongly think that when asking for that variance on a garage, that keeping the existing side yard setback is the best course of action. And it is the minimum change necessary in that particular case, given that it is still a functioning garage. So I do not believe in total that that standard has been met.
I disagree with respect to the last standard. I agree with you again on the generality of the principle that there can always be less. But I think that given the substandard lot size and the fact that we're talking about setbacks here, that a 20-foot garage is practically speaking the minimum change necessary with the setbacks that are being requested.
I echo those comments.
And so with the standards being reviewed, is there a motion on the table?
I'll move in the matter 16 ZMJV-0059 with respect to the property at 1021 Dewey Avenue, that that we grant the variations requested, subject to the condition that the property be developed in accordance with the documents and testimony submitted.
Second.
Okay, fantastic. All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The vote is 4 in favor and 1 against. So what's the answer? What happens? It passes? Good luck with your project. Good. It has passed, and good luck with your project. And do we have any other business? All right, then, can I have a motion?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Fantastic.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.